있었던 일 나한테 싹 다 얘기해보세요. 내가 그놈 잡아줄라니까.
내가 잡는 게 빠를 것 같은데.
진짜? 얘기할까?
아니 반장님 이거 진짜 큰 사건이에요.
어떤 미친놈 조폭 주먹을 찌릅니까? 그럼 확실하다니까. 연쇄살인범. 그런다니 칼이라 쳐먹고 다니는.
어떻게든 찾아와.
찾아오라 그래!
너 원하는 게 뭐냐?
너 그냥 나한테 정보 다 넘기고 조폭답게 네 일이나 해.
우리 애들 쓰고 진행비도 내가 돼.
마지막에는?
먼저 잡는 사람이 갖는 거지.
오케이 콜.
깡패가 형사랑 악마를 잡는다.
마지막에 우리가 잡으면 게임 세.
결국엔 우리가 잡을 수밖에 없어. 사내 셋이 목숨 걸고 게임을 했는데.
Assalamualaikum and good day to my respective lecturer, Dr. Ali Yusof. My name is Nur Syazwani, binti Mohammad Sallehuddin. My metric number 253567. I will present the discussion on ethical awareness. First and foremost, the issue that have in the gangster, the cop and the devil is homicide or serial killing. Based on this movie, there are a serial killer that love to see people suffering when he stab them into the death. This person can be categorized as a psychopath. It is clearly stated that this is against the law. This issue is relatable with the right. Right can be defined as the right that all human beings everywhere possesses to an equal extent simply by virtue of being human. From the movie, we can see the killer violates the human right of his victim. This action is unethical because everyone deserves to live in this world, and whoever commits a murder, they need to be punished. Just like in this movie, the character played by Kang Kyun-ho, who is a psychopath, are waiting of his court hearing. The second issue are bribery. Firstly, the act is done by the gangster as the main role character, which is the gangster leader Jang Dong-soo. It is an ethical act because he had operate a business that illegal activities, which is a gambling machine. The second character, which is the senior policeman officer, also helping the gangster by receiving the bribe. It's thus this unethical act has not following the moral principle of utilitarianism because it has violate action that maximize happiness and well-being for most of population. The third issue in this movie is gambling. In this movie, it shows that there are gambling center that conducted by the gangster. Gambling also can make a person life major changes because of addiction to win towards the game. The issue that most relatable, which is utilitarianism. The society should consider what is the benefit and what is the cost that they gain from the gambling action. The benefit of this gambling action, they will get additional money, but in terms of cost, they will have an addiction behavior towards the gambling. In order to continue gambling, they need the money, and if they don't get the money, maybe they will do something that are more unmoral, ethical towards others. And as for this movie, we clearly can see that there are more costs than benefit.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurnabilah Farhana, binti Rahmat Meah. My matric number 256096. I'm going to present on the awareness of stakeholders. First issue in this movie is about homicide or serial killer, which involve Kang Kyung-ho as serial killer. In this movie, it started with Kang Kyung-ho purposely hits a man's car to make him get down from the car to take pictures of the damage for claiming car insurance, and suddenly he attacks and kills the man. Tae-suk, who is the cop, is in charge to investigate the crime scene, and he suspected that it is the work of serial killer because cases happen one after another. The identity of serial killer is recognized after he tried to kill the gangster named Dong-so by making the same accident scene as before, but he did not able to kill the gangster as the gangster managed to struggle to save his own life until both of them get injured. The serial killer managed to escape from the crime scene, and the gangster was admitted to the hospital due to the serious injuries. After the incident, the gangster hired someone to sketch the picture of the killer's face in order to identify who is the guy who is trying to kill him. He then made agreement with the cop to catch this serial killer. There is one scene telling that this killer killed people just to satisfy himself. From this issue, as a human being, killing people is not a way to satisfy ourselves. It cannot solve problems, but it will cause a big problems to the criminal as it is against the law. Second issue in this movie is about bribery, which there is two stakeholders involved in this issue, which is the one who gave bribes and the one who received bribe. It involved Dong-so, the gangster, who is the one who gave the bribe, and the chief cop named Ho-bong, the one who is received the bribe. The situation is when the chief cop received a call from the gangster telling about his one cop named Tae-suk had entered his gambling business premise. Tae-suk actually being ordered to go investigating at the crime scene, but due to the traffic jam, he went out from the car and went into the premise to find someone. There is a fighting scene happen because the security guard did not allow the cop to enter the premise. After the fighting scene, he managed to get himself into the premise and went to meet a boy who works at the premise. He is doing so to ask the boy for help to give him a ride with the motorcycle to go to the crime scene. So, the gangster called the chief cop to inform about what had happened at his business premise and warned the chief cop to not disturb his premise. This is because the gangster already gave bribe to the chief cop to not interrupting in his gambling business premise in order to continue the operation of the business. The reason why bribery happened in this movie because the gangster knew that he is operating an unlawful business, which is gambling business premise. So, in order to protect his business, he gave bribe to the chief cop in that area. From this issue, cop as a professionalism should not receive any bribe as it is illegal and against the code of conduct as a cop. This will give a bad reputation to the cops, and cops can be charged for disobedience to the code of conduct if being caught. Third issue in this movie is gambling, which involves Dong So as the stakeholder who owned a gambling business and also a factory that produced gambling machine. As we all know that gambling business is an illegal business as it against the law, but in this movie, Dong So able to sustain his business without being interrupted by the cop on that area. The gambling business and the factory have become the source of income to Dong So. That is why, from the previous issue, the gangster already bribed the chief cop in their area to not interrupting in his business. In this movie, there is one scene where the cop, which is Tae-suk, went to the gambling factory with the gangster to investigate on the serial killer's car to find some evidence in that car. As a cop, he knew that the factory is an illegal factory and operating the factory is against the law, but he did not care because they have the same purpose, which is to catch the serial killer. The reason why the cop Tae-suk agreed to work with the gangster in order to catch the killer because before this, he told to his chief cop on what had happened in that area with all the crime scene is the work of serial killer. But his chief cop did not believe in what he said. That is why he took a decision to work with the gangster to catch the serial killer as to prove that he is right. At the end of the movie, both the gangster and the cop actually competing each other to catch the serial killer. If the gangster is the one who managed to catch the serial killer, he will kill the gangster for revenge. But if the cop is the one who managed to catch this serial killer, he is going to prove it to his chief cop and in order to promoting himself. From this issue, as a citizen, we should not operate business that is illegal, as there is a lot of legal business that can be done in order to gain income, and as a cop, they should take action towards the business and factory rather than close their eyes and did nothing about the gambling business premise and factory. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum to everyone. My name is Nur Liyana binti Sobri. My metric number is 257141. I will present about ethical reasoning. Ethical reasoning is the content that we address questions such as what are the different views of the various stakeholders on the ethical issue in this case. First issue that we will discuss in this movie is homicide or serial killing. This issue is related to the concept of right. But before that, what is right? Moral right can be defined as right that all human beings everywhere possess to an equal extent simply by virtue of being a human. From the movie with the gangster, the cop and the devil, we can see the killer violate the human right of his victim as they have the negative right to require others to leave them alone. The reason why the serial killer do this activity because he loves to see people die with his own eyes. This activity is again with the moral right, even though he loved to do that. This serial killer has killed so many people in the nearest time. For example, he has killed the gangster right-hand man, a schoolgirl, and many more. He will be fee certified to so people die in his hand. Because of this activity, it made the gangster, which is Jang Dong-soo, and the cook Jun Tae-soo to collaborate to catch him. Due to this activity, he should be punished with heavy punishment. For example, for the second issue that we will discuss in the movie, which is the gangster, the cook, and the devil, is bribe. In this case, this activity is conducted between the senior officer Jun Tae-soo and the gangster Jang Dong-soo. This activity has brought the utilitarian concept. Utilitarian can be defined as action and policy should be evaluated on the basis of the benefit and cost they will impose on society. The only moral reaction in any situation is that whose utility is greatest by comparison to the utility of all the other alternatives. According to the utilitarian concept, the policeman Jun Tae-soo should evaluate the benefit and the cost first before he decided to take the bribe. If the cost is larger than the benefit, he should not be taking the bribe even though he loved to do that. But in this case, Jun Tae-soo decided to take the bribe instead of arresting the gangster. The cost of the Jun Tae-soo action is the gangster will continue to operate the gambling center in Seoul. Besides that, from the Tae-soo perspective, he take the bribe because of he doesn't want his life and his family to be jeopardized by the gangster Jang Dong-soo. That is the reason why he allowed the Jang Dong-soo continue to operate the gambling center even though this activity is again with the law. Last is gambling issue. This issue is related to the gangster Jang Dong-soo, who is the owner of gambling center in Seoul. As you can see, gambling activity is again with utilitarian principle. Before he involved in this activity, the gangster Jang Dong-soo should consider the benefit and the cost of gambling action. It is more related to the cost compared to the benefit. For example, if they lost in the gambling activity, they will lose their money. To get their money back, they will do everything by their own, include get loan from shop and borrow from the family member. From Jang Dong-soo's perspective, he cannot close the gambling center. This is because it is source of his income. That is the reason why Jang Dong-soo bribed the police Jun Tae-soo. The reason is he still ran his gambling center operate as usual even though it is again the law.
Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. My name is Nur Atikah Ya'acob. My message number is 255840. I will continue the presentation for the topic ethical decision making. Okay, for the first issue, which is homicide and serial killing issue, this issue is relatable to the concept of right. Right are defined as an individual's entitlement to something. Okay, moral rights, in the other hand, means that the rights that all human beings everywhere possess to an equal extent simply by virtue of being an human being. Okay, from the movie, we can see that the killer violates the human rights of his victims, as they have the negative right to require others to leave them alone and live safely. But the killer should not be killing people just because he loves to see someone die. Okay, this relates to the Kant's categorical imperative second version, where we should never use people only as a means to your end. Okay, due to the killer is endangering to the public, because he will kill random person in order to satisfy his passion in killing people, we have made the best ethical decision making. Okay, the best ethical decision making for this situation is this killer should be punished with severe punishment such as mandatory death penalty penalty or life imprisonment, which relates to the retributive justice, where it requires the just imposition of punishment and penalties. Okay. For the second issue, which is bribe, in this case, the bribery act is conducted between chief police officer and the gangster. We believe that the chief has violated his professional work ethic, and he should be punished because of his action. Okay, as the law enforcement, he should be the one that comply with the law and give a good example to public. So according to the utilitarianism, the chief should evaluate the benefit and cost that he will impose on society when considered to take the bribe. If the cost is larger than the benefit, he should not be taking the bribe. Okay, in this case, if the chief decide to take the bribe instead of arresting the gangster, the cost is the chief action. The cost is the gangster will continue to operate. Okay, this will affect the society because the society cannot live safely and they keep living in fear. Okay, the benefit is the chief will get additional money. Okay, in this case, we can see that the cost is larger than the benefit. So the chief policeman should not be taking the bribe, and instead he should arrest the gangster for his crime. Unfortunately, he still take the bribe. So the best ethical decision for this case is the chief should be punished by maximum time in prison, and the chief needs to pay a large amount of fine. Okay, if an officer is receiving a bribe, the person will be subjected to a severe punishment from the law enforcement. Okay, for the gangster, he also should be arrested and punished for the act of the bribery and the action as a gangster. A severe punishment should be enforced by the law, and it can educate the society that the act of gangsterism is not acceptable, and those who are convicted with the gangsterism will be punished severely. Okay, for gambling issue, this issue is related to the utilitarianism, where the public should consider the benefit and the cost of the gambling action. Okay, the benefit of this action is when they gamble, they will win and get additional money. So in terms of cost, when they gamble, they will develop addiction feeling when they win because they get easy money. So because of this addiction, they will do everything in their power just to get money, including loan money from the loan shark to gamble. So if they fail to pay their loan, the gangster will beat them to death. So in this case, we can see clearly that the cost is more than the benefit. So in order to solve this gambling activity, the government can impose a new rule that gives severe punishment to those that are involved in gambling activity, from the one that open the facility until the one that are playing the gambling machine. So that's all for my part, and I will continue to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum to my lecturer and my fellow friends. My name is Nur Sabrina binti Sabri, and my matric number is 255865. So, right now, I will explain about ethical suggestion. For the first issue, which is homicides or serial killer, there are some suggestions to prevent this issue. The serial killer should meet the psychotherapy to get the treatment. Based on this movie, he's just eat medicine, even though he knows he has a mental illness.
The therapist will press patient to find out whether he is involved in the killing and will help him to prevent from killing people again.
Next, the serial killer should be punished by the law. He could be sentenced to death, which is death penalty, or life imprisonment, with the possibility of release.
Death penalty is known as a capital punishment also. It means the serial killer to be killed as a punishment for a crime. Life imprisonment is the punishment of being sent to prison for the rest of one's life. He will receive a life sentence for his crime.
Next is issue about act done by the cop and the gangster, which is right. The cop needs to obtain punishment such as changing their workplace to other branch or demote his position to lower position because he accept the bribe. Also, the gangster must be arrested for the offer the bribe to the cop. In order to reduce the bribe case, every cop should practice in the integrity value and must take the integrity test. Integrity in policing is strive to do the right thing in all situations. The cop must take police integrity test so they will loyal to the rule. This test is preventing and detecting corruption in the cop force. Lastly, the issue gambling activities. Government should impose a new rule that gives self-punishment to those people who are involved in the gambling activities. Police must see the serious illegal activity as a priority by thoroughly investigate some illegal act of the gambling place. Police who has high skill should be placed in area high possibility of gambling activity so that the cop can catch the gambler. Next suggestion is government should do more gambling campaign awareness. The campaign can run through social media, online, and print publication event. It is to raise community awareness about the risk of gambling, encourage the gambler to seek help early, especially through empowering to those people who have experience in the gambling activities.
Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day.
The last suggestion for the gambling activities. Zhang Lusu, who is the gangster, which is the owner gambling center, should close his gambling business and he should open the legal business. The reason why he should open the legal business and close his gambling business because it is to reduce the participation of people in gambling. For example, he can open a business such as a restaurant.
The gangster can open a restaurant, a factory, or cafe.
In a conclusion, ethic is the study of morality and recommending concept of right or wrong, good or bad, acceptable or unacceptable, are to resolve question of human morality in nowadays. As for this movie, the gangster, the cop and the devil, it have shown that the most of people doing unethical act for their own benefit. However, we must know that the truth will reveal. Nowadays, people around us always make an unethical behavior for their own sake. Maybe because of the conflict of their interests and etc. So from this movie, there are several issues that we have found, which is homicide or serial killing, and the second one is bribery, the third one is gambling. So this issue has brought harm to our society. Thus, instead of doing unethical act, there are more advantage if we personally practice something good to others.